What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Well, today we are going to talk polishers. We're going to talk about what was previously my favorite polisher and one that I got recently that has kind of replaced that as my favorite polisher. And we're going to discuss why I have 8 different polishers and they all do different things. And kind of my theory behind why I use certain ones for certain things. And yeah, lots of polishers, so let's get into it. I'm going into my 5th year in business detailing cars now, and kind of the way I've used polishers and done paint correction has kind of evolved and changed over the course of my detailing career. And now that I've polished hundreds of cars, I've kind of shifted my focus on what I'm looking for, what I want the polisher to achieve, which has come to a recent purchase, and that has kind of replaced what my favorite polisher is now. But I'm going to mention this DeWalt Rotary first. That was my first polisher after I got my Home Depot Ryobi one and kind of had burned that thing out. And originally, I was doing a fleet of work trucks for my previous boss, and they were all scratched to hell, so I was kind of doing a 2-step correction, which led me to buying the Duetto because it was easier to finish out, you know, without any holograms. So I was cutting with the rotary and a wool pad to get real aggressive and get a lot out, and then finishing with the Duetto. Kind of since then, and since I got my Rupes 21, I really don't use the rotary anymore. I don't really do big wet sanding jobs where I need, you know, a ton of correction power. I've used it on a couple of cars that have had harder paint, and I was kind of having trouble getting defects out, but you know, the rotary still has its place, and some people are masters with it. I just find that the DAs work a bit easier. And it's just easier to get a good finish, and it's also easier not to worry about heat buildup because the rotary can build up heat real quick in a hurry. You kind of have to be more careful. That said, kind of a difference between the 21 and the rotary is that with the 21, you don't get a lot of correction at the very edge of travel. So your last ½ inch of travel of this pad, you're getting half, maybe less as you get to the edge of the amount of correction that you're getting on the middle of the pad. So as you're coming up against trim, as you're coming up against tighter areas, you're not getting as much correction, where with the rotary, you get full power right up to the edge. So for edge work, if you're going to use, you know, just one big machine to try and get as much correction as you can, you know, the rotary can beat the DA in that aspect. But that kind of led me to, after getting the 21 and the Duetto, I got the Mini, which is the 3-inch pad. And this thing is great for getting edges, getting pillars, you know, getting those tight spots. I also did buy the Nano. I really don't use this thing that much. Kind of the direction my work has gone is to doing a lot more general polishing and not so much perfection correction work, because I am doing mobile detailing. So, you know, I don't have a clean room. I don't have, you know, so chasing perfection kind of becomes a fool's errand on what I'm doing. So a lot of times I'm aiming more toward, you know, making a big improvement on the car, getting rid of the swirls, mitigating the look of scratches, and that kind of leads me to, I do a lot of 1-steps. And with the 1-step, the 21 can be nice because it gives you a lot of correction, but there's also some areas of the car you can't really hit. So the back of the car, you know, the front bumper, all those kind of little nooks and crannies where, again, the Mini is going to come in. But that kind of put me in between, and I ended up using the Duetto a lot. Because with the Duetto, you only have a 12mm throw, so you can kind of get up to those edges underneath the car mirrors and the tight spots that the 21 won't get to, but you could do a lot of the stuff that the Mini gets as far as the back of the car, and now you're only using one machine, so you're not taking that extra time switching in between machines. You know, you can grab your one machine, you know, choose your pad and your polish, whatever, you know, you think you're getting, and just go for it. And it kind of saves time on the car. You go through 4 or 6 pads on a car. I've been using the pad washer a lot too, so with that you can kind of get away with using less pads even, and just go for it with the one. So that kind of leads me to recent, where I actually very recently picked up the 15. And literally the first day I was using it, I was blown away and just in love with this polisher. And the last couple weeks now, I have been just really exclusively going to this. The reason being is the throw isn't that far off from the Duetto. It's 15 as opposed to 12, but it's using the same size pad as the Duetto. So you're getting a little bit more correction, but it still allows you to get in all of those tighter spots. So I'm getting, you know, another 10% correction, but still only needing to use the one machine going around a car on a general detail. So you can do the pillars with this, you can do, you know, the trunk area, the front bumpers, and really get the whole car with this. So I'm picking up the Mini less, I'm picking up the Duetto less, and I'm really just going to the 15. So out of all the other polishers here, there are a couple that are different. So I got the Mille, which is the forced rotation DA. This one I don't really use that much. This is really more specific applications. I originally bought it. I did a Mustang, the S550 body style, and a couple of BMWs, and they just have a ton of concave curves, and the free spinning DA polishers are just stalling, and you're just not getting the correction you want in those curves, where the Mille, you can really power through those curves. But even then, I find myself using the Mille only on the curves and then switching to the 21 or switching to something else to do the bulk of the rest of the car, because the Mille just doesn't have a ton of correction power. It doesn't cut through scratches and imperfections anywhere near as fast as the longer throw polishers. So that I would kind of label more of a specialty, where if I was only to get 1 or 2 polishers, I don't think I would really go with the Mille being in one of those. But again, if you have a bunch of them, again, I'm doing this for a living. The more tools you have, the easier certain things are going to be. And that brings me to my latest pickup, which is this Max Shine. This is actually a 3-inch rotary. So this thing has a ton of correction power, but just in a very small area. So this thing is good for edging. It's really good for going after spot imperfections, where if I'm doing a general polish on a whole car, but it has, you know, a 2-foot long scratch down the one side of it, I can go after just that scratch with this as a first step, and then go right to my one-step polishing on the whole car, which is going to finish out any kind of holograms that I may have left with the 3-inch rotary. But the big project I did buy this for was actually polishing the aluminum side of a landscaping truck, and they were corrugated aluminums. I have a quick shot of it, I'll throw it in there. And after looking at the job, I kind of just decided there's no way that the Rupes Mini is going to have any kind of power in that. The pad's just going to be stalled out the whole time. And I was kind of debating on trying to maybe use the DeWalt with the 9-inch pad and kind of dig everything in there, but I came across the Max Shine, and I kind of decided that it would be good for that task, and it was. That was actually a really, really tedious job. I had a buddy working with me. I had actually bought 2 of them, so we each had one, and just kind of went ahead and attacked all these small areas. So after all that jumble, I I really am just in love with the Rupes 15. And that has taken over the spot of my favorite polisher, which was previously the Duetto. The Duetto still has a place in my heart. I like the form factor on the Duetto better. I like this Porter cable style. I feel like it's easier when you have to reach out on the roof of a car or far out on the hood. That said, the 15 is way smoother than the 21, so you really can get, you know, that one-handed operation going a little bit better where the machine isn't really jumping around. But yeah, I mean, if you were only to get one polisher, I originally would have said that it should be the Duetto, but after now having and using the 15, I think my conclusion is that the 15 is just has that much more power, and it's pretty much just as versatile as the Duetto. It kind of fits into all those same areas. That being said, doing this professionally, I feel like I would be lost without the Mini. Sometimes you just need to get in those tight areas that you can't, you know, you just cannot get the 5-inch pad in, and the 3-inch just really gets you up to being able to do 99% of all the surfaces on all the cars. I mean, that last 1%, you know, you could say that this'll get it for you, but really that's only going to come into play on like exotic stuff and like weird stuff that you can't get to. I mean, hey, maybe you are on some other level where you're polishing things on interiors or polishing door jambs. And while I'm completely capable of that, on my day-to-day, that's not really what I'm doing. So for the most part, the Nano stays in its case. I kind of worry sometimes because I use it so little. I feel like the batteries are going to eventually go bad on me. And one day I'm going to go to use it and it's not going to work. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to ramble about polishers. I have, you know, like I said, I've done hundreds of cars now, you know, with all these various polishers. And yeah, the 15 is just kind of where it's at. That said, I will still be using the 21 quite a bit because when you're on big flat panels, there's really no better way to hammer through those imperfections. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So if you guys followed with me and listened to me ramble this whole time, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think I'll get into probably a different topic on the next video. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.